Hi, it's Sarah SMUTNY, your host of the Simply Balanced podcast. I'm super happy that you're listening in today. And here in this podcast, we are going to go deep on gut health, anti-inflammatory living, spirituality, self-care, and so much more. Hello. Today is, again, podcast time. And I will interview today Carly, who is a very, very, very inspiring person I got to know lately in Sea. And she's we found out in our yoga session that she's an Ikigai coach, and I was so intrigued that I directly invited her to my podcast because I find Ikigai, everything is about purpose and about finding purpose and living the purpose. So I thought this is the perfect topic for my podcast. Carly, so tell us a bit, who is Carly? Introduce yourself.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm so excited to be here. And yes, I'm Carly Christ. I am an American expat, long-term expat living in Annecy, France. I am an NLP and Ikigai coach. And along with my business partner, Chloé, we have Vibrant Ikigai, which is our coaching business, where we particularly work with expat women who are looking to have empowering, purposeful, meaningful experiences abroad.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, because I see that also in my own coachings, because I also work with a lot of expats, that this is really a topic for especially expat women.
Absolutely.
Because often they are following their partners. It's still a bit like this.
Yep.
Nowadays, even, we say it's so much this kind of feminist movement, but still you have this a lot. That's why it's funny that we both have the same group we are working a lot with.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we're both expats.
That also,
Getting out of our country and out of our comfort zone, and we know what it feels like, right?
Sorry for the sound. Now, if you're listening to it and you are hearing behind, there's somebody outside cleaning the street. So I hope it doesn't make so much impact on the audio. So how did you come to Ikigai, by the way?
So it's interesting because so when we started Vibrant Ikigai in 2020, we were working with our clients and we stumbled upon the 4-circle Venn diagram. And usually people who have heard of Ikigai before, they think of this diagram. And we saw this diagram. And so it's 4 circles. It's what you love, what you're good at, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. And in the middle is Ikigai. And we thought, that's great. That's really interesting. Maybe we can use this as a tool with our clients. And so we started to look deeper into this concept of Ikigai. And in the course of doing that, we found Ikigai Tribe, which is the certification program that we went through in our Ikigai training. And we learned that actually this diagram has nothing to do with Ikigai at all, but it's what led us to understanding the concept better. And so once we went through the certification program, by the end, we were so enthralled by this philosophy that we thought, this is great. And actually, we don't want to just use it as one of the tools in our toolkit, as we originally thought, but we want it to be the main methodology that we work with our clients, because we just found it so powerful to our lives.
Also to your life. So it really made an impact also to you.
It made a huge impact on both of us. It was a total game changer. We finished it and we were just like, wow, this is great. This is a great philosophy. And I mean, it's since then, everything has changed in how I show up in the world. I'm always going back to the Ikigai concept, philosophy, and tools that I know. And also, interestingly, this is the first time. So I moved to Annecy in August of this year. And this is the first expatriation. So I've been an expat for 15 years. I've had 7 international moves in that time. And this is the first time that I've had an international move with the Ikigai toolkit on my side. So in the past, I had all these international moves, and this is the first time after coaching and using these tools with expats that I've actually had to do it myself in the initial months of expatriation. And it's made such a difference. I've found myself coming into this experience and showing up so much differently than I have in the past. And even though I'm a seasoned expat, I've had to do this quite a few times. I already speak French, so it's not like I haven't lived in this place in France before, but I've lived in France before. This has actually been one of if not the hardest moves that I've had to make so far. And I know that, but I don't feel that because I'm using Ikigai to help me get through it. And it's helping me to, I've been going through like our coaching workbooks that we have for our clients to bring myself back to basics and say, okay, here we are. And it's been so helpful.
Yeah. Can you give one example, for example? Like one little thing that I don't know.
Component of what I'm doing. Yeah. So, when we move, and I should say that the Ikigai philosophy is really powerful in the expat space, but it's also a really powerful philosophy for anybody. It's a positive psychology concept of well-being. Really applies to anyone. But in the expat space, when we move, we uproot our lives, we leave everything behind, and we have to recreate everything again. We have to find our routines again. We have to meet our people. The Japanese have a word for this called ibasho, and that's our people or our place where we feel a sense of belonging. Our tribe, exactly. We need to rebuild that. And sometimes we get so into the act of resettlement that we often don't prioritize the things that actually are daily actions that help us to feel grounded and rooted and create the life that we want. So maybe in our previous location, whether it was your last expatriation or your home, maybe you had a daily at-home yoga practice, or you went to a studio every week for your yoga. Or there were different parts of your routine that you had done for a long time, and now all of a sudden you get to your new location and it's like, oh, well, I don't have time to go to yoga this week. I need to get the kids enrolled in their activities, or I need pots and pans, And so it's very easy to get into this feeling of maybe overwhelm of how much you need to do and organize and set up in your new life. And so, but actually, and oftentimes as moms, and you can probably relate to this, we're looking after everybody else. We're making sure that the kids are set up in school and they've got their things and they're feeling comfortable because everything's new for them as well. And we forget about ourselves. And we just concentrate on what's in front of us. And so one of the things that in this move I've been very conscious about is making time for me and making sure that I start to, without pressure and without judgment, I start to put in place some of those things that I used to have in my life. So fully open. I have not found my yoga class yet. I'm working on that still. I've been here, 6 weeks? So I haven't gotten there yet, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. But I'm taking the time every day to do my meditation, to go for my runs, to do the things that I know put me in the right headspace, to have a better daily living.
Yeah.
And that's really, it really brings a sense of grounding. Like you feel like you're here. The other thing that's really important, to go back to that Ibasho concept, is getting out. So as you said, oftentimes it is still the wives that are following the husbands, and that is the case for me. And I run my business from home, as do you. And so we are alone in our worlds. And when we arrive in a new place, now we're really alone. We're running our business alone from home, and we're in a new place where we don't know anybody. And so it can be very isolating. And so taking those little steps also to get out, so if it is that yoga class so that you meet people, you talk to people, or if you've moved for a job and you're in your job, maybe you start to feel that you're doing, as we say in French, métro, boulot, dodo. You're riding the subway, you're going to work, and you're coming home, and that's it. And you're like, what am I doing? Putting one little thing in there that helps you to get out, see people, maybe other than just who you see at work, but it could be that you go with your French colleague who is French speaking. I mean, I'm saying French because we're in France. And you don't speak French, but you say, hey, let's do a language exchange every Tuesday morning before we start work. And so like even better, you go to a language class, but, and not being judgmental. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm being compassionate with myself, but I'm also giving myself little pushes of motivation and looking at what I know from Ikigai and how I bring greater well-being into my life, and trying to do that every day, even just a little bit, to feel like I have life here, like I'm settled and I'm integrated.
Yeah. And you have a life also.
I have a life, yes.
Yeah. That's actually, it's interesting that it's very different than what you see always, what you said, like what you love, what you do, these 4 little pieces of the pie, what you explained in the beginning. What is the
the Venn diagram.
Yes. Yeah. So actually it goes much deeper. Ikigai. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Into the actually much more into the personal life instead of only being linked to business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, the Venn diagram. So on the one side, it was what brought me to the Ikigai concept. And also my coach and mentor has told me that he's grateful for it because it also is what brings a lot of people to him. And then he's able to show them the real Japanese understanding of Ikigai. And the Venn diagram can be very useful. So a little background on that, it was basically a Spanish astrologer who created the Venn diagram, but in the middle, it was propósito, or purpose. So it was the purpose Venn diagram. And then Dan Buettner gave a TED Talk where he talked about Ikigai and longevity and Okinawa. Maybe some people have heard.
Yeah. Okinawa's book. There's also this book, the Blue Zones. Yeah.
Exactly. Dan Buettner did the Blue Zones. And in Okinawa, they had at the time, it's not true now, some of the longest living centenarians in the world, who were also women, should say. The longest living people in the world were women in Okinawa at this time. And so he talked about that. And then this British entrepreneur and business coach heard the TED Talk, saw the Venn diagram, and then just took the word Ikigai and put it in the middle. So it's like a Spanish guy and a British guy and an American guy that now everyone thinks this concept is Japanese, which it's not. And for the Japanese, Ikigai never has to do with earning money. If anything in this Venn diagram is true, the one that's particularly not true for the Japanese concept of Ikigai is what you can be paid for, because you would never pursue your Ikigai in order to get money. Yeah. It might be a benefit, and oftentimes it is, but it's not the focus.
Yeah.
And so, with this spectrum that Ikigai is for the Japanese, you're absolutely right. These 4 circles, there's no nuance in there. Whereas Ikigai for the Japanese in itself is even hard to define, let alone putting into circles. We often like to have definitions of things, and I often get people that will say, well, what is Ikigai? What's the definition of Ikigai? And it's like, well, let's talk about it. It's a conversation. It's not actually a definition. The closest that we've gotten to is the reason you get up in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's as close as we can get. Your Ikigai is the reason you get up in the morning, but it's so much more than than these 4 circles. Even though those are great questions and they are good contemplation questions and they can help you to get closer to finding greater purpose in your professional life, and as a result in your personal life, it's just not the authentic job.
I think it's still very good in the sense that it catches people, for the Ikigai concept, because it's so simple and everybody can understand it so well, because it's really a child would understand it, let's say.
Yep, and that's true.
Yeah, and that makes it also attractive, because people think, oh, great, I can find a solution in a very, very simplistic manner,
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think they're attracted also by this. And then, finally they find you, and then you go deeper with them. So it's kind of the hook, let's say.
Yeah. It's true. And it's a good opener for building self-awareness and going on a path of greater personal development. Yeah. Because if you stop and you think about these 4 circles, that's great. That's a good way to advance whatever it is you're trying to achieve or where you want to go, So,
but how does it actually work? Like when let's say you have a new client who, you coach with your Ikigai program. So how does it actually look like when you take somebody in, and how does the journey then look like with you?
So first we have 2 services that we offer. One is a 2-hour group workshop where we discuss the Ikigai philosophy, and it's kind of the overview. So you get to go through the different components that we cover in the one-to-one coaching, but simplified.
Yeah.
Then we have the one-to-one coaching, where we take all of that and we go deeper in the one-to-one. And what we use is actually there is a woman, a Japanese psychiatrist and linguist. Her name is Kamiya Miyako, or Miyako Kamiya, if you say it in Japanese. And she wrote the Bible of Ikigai. And she worked in the 1960s. She worked with lepers in Japan, so those with Hansen's disease, on her dissertation. And while she was working with those lepers, she started to question deeply Ikigai. And so the result of that research was her book, Ikigai ni Sutta. And in that book, she came up with 8 needs of Ikigai. So 8 things that people need to have in their life in order to experience a high level of well-being or a high level of Ikigai. Those 8 things are what we use in our methodology. So that is our coaching program, essentially. We use Kamiya Miyako's 8 needs of Ikigai.
Yeah.
That's the structure. So we have 8 sessions in the one-to-one coaching over 4 months.
Yeah.
It does include a bonus of the workshop, because we like giving the overview so you understand more the concept, and then you move into the one-to-one coaching. But then depending on what your issue is, what your objectives are, what your goals are, what your background is, and what you hope to achieve in one-to-one coaching, that's the lens, that's the filter that we approach those needs. So, for example, I'm working with someone right now who is looking to change jobs and trying to figure out which is the right avenue. So as we move through the coaching, the focus is always going to be in the professional life, but with the filter of Ikigai and bringing satisfaction to life and to work.
Yeah. I think I would have some of my clients to recommend you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I have a lot of clients who struggle also with their professional perspective.
Yeah.
And then we, of course, also go into this, and we talk about, I also infuse a lot of life coaching in my coaching, but still there's not enough time to handle everything in depth, like the nutrition, the gut healing, and also the, it depends how open the person is, but sometimes there's still room for, thinking further.
Yeah.
In this particular part. For example, I had one client who she's working in the IT industry, and but deep inside she wants to be a book has a bookstore owner.
Mm.
Yeah, but she's afraid
Different,
to do it. You know, and it was maybe lack of being afraid of what other people will say, or of also thinking financially. You know, all kind of fears are coming up there, and that's why I think such a workshop with you would be very, very great for her. I will tell her about it. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's exactly the type of thing. I mean, becoming an entrepreneur, there's a lot of blocks for people.
Yeah.
You know, she wants to do something completely different. And so that's what we do. We work through the blocks, but we're also at the same time, because the approach is very coming from a place of positive psychology, we're also really working on looking at and building awareness of strengths and passions, and getting that concentration so that it becomes clearer of, oh, I can actually do this because I'm good at this, and I'm good at this, and I love this. And, you know, bringing that awareness to ourselves is a huge part of the entire coaching. It's self-awareness is so important in any kind of coaching.
Yeah.
But yes, so working on job transitions like that is a great one. We love working with it.
Yeah. So thanks so much for sharing all of this with us. It's so inspiring, and I'm really happy that we met.
Yeah, me too.
And, I can certainly also envision some kind of collaboration with you in the future. Let's speak about this.
Yes. What do we say? January, maybe? So anyone can see?
Yeah.
Or so, I guess.
Because I think, this combination of finding your balance in your body and in your personal life, plus even professional life, is in any sense life-changing, especially for expat women. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And you know, I'm a huge source of my ikigai is food and cooking, and so it's perfect. And my business partner is vegan as well, and she also loves, I mean, half the time we talk about ikigai and the other half the time we talk about food.
Great. Yeah, so that's super important. Yeah, because feeling in balance in your body, then you get also all this energy, to do things.
Yes.
Because if you feel like, honestly speaking, crap and bloated and ugly, or then you also don't go to these social meetings, in the new city, or you feel not really in your energy, and you don't really have this aura which you would like to have to get to know people and get your tribe, and you hide, let's say, at home. Yeah, that often then happens,
Yeah, and as we said, the energy, we need so much energy as expats. We have to we have to put ourselves out there all the time. We're really, we have to meet people. We have to put in the energy to get friends and build our social network. And, so having our body be in a good place where we're actually putting nourishing food into our body. We're not bloated. Our digestion is working, and we're taking all that nutrition and energy to actually push ourselves forward is just another piece to the puzzle. To the puzzle, yes.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. Okay, so thanks so much again. And where can people follow you? Just to finish our podcast.
Yes. So we are Vibrant Ikigai. You can find us on Instagram at Vibrant Ikigai Coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And our services are available in French and in English.
Yeah, great. Yeah.
And we're also on, Pinterest and Facebook. But those are areas.
And do you also offer kind of a free first call or something like this to get to know you?
Yes. So if you go, two things that we offer, we have a free discovery call that you can book with Chloé in French or in English with me, and you can do that directly from the website. And that's a 30-minute call to talk about goals and objectives for coaching. And how we use the philosophy for your needs. And then we also have a free downloadable workbook that you can get on the website as well. And that's 5 essential steps to feeling ikigai in your life. So it's kind of gives you a little kickoff into the Ikigai world, and some good contemplation questions to get you going.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So let's finish this podcast with one last phrase from you, or like, let's say something you want to tell our audience. Like just one sentence.
Be kind with yourself, have compassion, and do your best to show up as authentically as you can.
Perfect. With these words, have a great day or night whenever you're listening to this, and see you next time.
Thank you, Sarah.